Hello and welcome back to my channel. This is Starshine with CPTSD and spirituality, healing holistically. Today we're going to do a little bit of talking about one of the effects of CPTSD, which would be the loss of identity. Losing identity with severe trauma and complex trauma is like losing a sense of self, especially when trauma happens in such a young person in their formative years. They are at that point in time, under normal circumstances, they would be learning who they are, who they're becoming, and finding their way to their individuality and their individual self. People who experience the traumas early on like that, there is a lack in that development stage to where they are learning who they are. And the effects of that are they'll disassociate from the people in their lives, disassociate from their surroundings. And I can remember a few times when I was little, and this is where we start talking with spirituality coming in. There were some very, very traumatic things that were taking place in my presence. And I remember running off and running to through the yard and out down by a creek that used to be by our house. And in that moment that I was disassociating from my surroundings and the people that were there and the things that were taking place, I would connect with nature. I can remember sitting by the water, and that's where spirituality kicked in for me, getting away from it all, sitting out there and having experiences with nature and some of the elementals of nature. Not exactly sure how old I was specifically, maybe 3, 4, and that was when I started connecting with the fairy realm. And though that realm was a sense of healing for me, maybe not healing for me, I shouldn't say that because I was so little, but it offered me comfort. It took me out of the trauma, the experience that was taking place, and took me into a land of or an experience of joy and peace and laughter, and opened up a different realm for me in some of the most traumatic times of my life. There's other things that take place with the losing the identity, blaming the self, especially, like, how could I let this happen, or how could I have stopped this from happening? What did I do to deserve this? There's a lot of things that goes through a person's mind because they can't really wrap their mind around just the fact that somebody could be that evil or that cruel or what have you, so then they take the blame upon themselves. Also, avoidance, totally suppressing the experiences, kind of pushing them down, pretending as if they didn't happen, or when the memories want to come up, pushing them back down and not addressing them. Also, trauma can also, because of the loss of identity, cause the person to seek external validation. And I found myself doing this quite a bit. And sometimes maybe I still do at a subconscious level, but as I'm healing, I'm starting to recognize. I think that for a long time with my children growing up and they were achieving things or hitting their milestones or what have you, of course, I thought it was wonderful and was praiseful to them, but I realized now that those were things that also I took upon myself as a sense of validation that I'm doing something good, I'm raising these kids, they're, because of me, they're becoming good students or athletes or musically inclined or what have you. So I was grasping onto their achievements to help rebuild my self-esteem, which is a false way to utilize external things like that, validation. I went to school many, many times for many different things, and climbing a corporate ladder and all those things, as a way to try and find a self-esteem in accomplishing, getting different degrees and certificates and things like that. The other thing too is the fear of vulnerability. Because of the lack of identity, not even really knowing yourself, so like not really even trusting yourself and your decisions and the people that come along into your life, it's very hard to open up to them, to share your experiences, to share your feelings, to share your thoughts, because can also be a very challenging thing to do when you are still wondering, who am I? Who am I deep down at my core? Because the traumatic experiences have kind of robbed that who you should be, who you were meant to be, who you are, because your brain is hijacked by the traumas and the people who committed the traumas. So those are just some of the things that go along with the loss of identity. And then I already kind of touched base a little bit with the spirituality and that happened in the moments of disassociation. I have found my way to identifying who am I through my spiritual practices, because there is not a good connection with people, and being able to really delve into deeply connecting, that's where I went into my higher power, through meditation, through my yoga, and through working with my spirit guides and what I believe connecting with source, asking them to help me find who am I without the trauma. Journaling a lot. I've been journaling probably my whole life, with poetry and things like that, and getting to a place to where I'm pretty sure I have found most of me, and am still learning me as I heal and grow through um, the steps that it takes for coping. And this journey that I'm on now with doing videos and talking about my experiences and the things that I have done to overcome some of these things. When I was younger, and then as time was going on and going about daily life and not really being able to delve really too much into my healing, um, I was more into like self-help because I was trying to find things to make me feel better. And I did go to therapists um, early on in my uh, child childhood and into my teens and 20s. And the one thing that I found that conventional therapy was not helpful to me, because it seems like I'd get to a point to where I would be able to feel comfortable with a therapist, and then they might get a new job or transfer somewhere else. And then it's like you're starting all over again, telling your story all over again from the beginning. And it just felt like I was getting nowhere, because it'd get to that point to where you finally feel like you can and connect and start uh, learning and healing, and then they'd be gone. And that is in itself, a traumatic thing for somebody who is trying to recover from CPTSD. And so I think that's really when I started delving deeply into the spiritual side of things, because that is where I was finding my answers. That was where I was finding my comfort. That is where I was finding my coping mechanisms and getting me through uh, to be able to actively participate um, in daily life and be successful without falling into unhealthy coping mechanisms. I'm sure, of course, there was uh, some unhealthy coping mechanisms along the way, but thankfully, I would find my way out of those pretty quickly. So that's what I wanted to touch base on for today, and I thank you for visiting my channel, and I look forward to seeing you again. If you're here to take the journey, please like, subscribe, and share.